Yes people, hope everyone is good. Now in today's video, I'm going to share the story of why on the most recent occasion I gave up smoking weed. So it's coming up for 4 months that I've given up weed this time around, but this time I do feel like it's going to be for the long term, if not forever. I'm going to do another video which is going to be about, me actually giving up, how I found it, how I'm feeling now. But this is just a bit of a crazy story really about the reason why I ended up giving up weed this time round. So I'd actually stopped smoking weed and drinking around September last year, and I'd stayed sober until about November, something like that, around about my birthday. And I started drinking again. I think I had a drink for my birthday, and then I started drinking going up to Christmas. I was going through a lot of very stressful situations, a lot of big changes in my life. I'd moved city, I'd just got out of a relationship. I had legal issues going on. And as a result of these things, I started drinking again. I was drinking pretty much every night, not a massive amount, small amounts, but I would have a drink every single night of the week. Quickly realised it wasn't helping me, it wasn't assisting my life in any way, and it was keeping me from going for the goals that I wanted to achieve. So I decided to knock the alcohol on the head round about the 1st of February. I think it was either the last couple of days of January or the first couple of days of February. I stopped drinking. So at that point, I wasn't drinking and I wasn't smoking weed. However, for the next period of weeks and months after I stopped drinking, I was thinking about weed all the time. I knew in my heart that I was going to go back to it at some point. I'd thought about starting growing it because that's what I used to do, and I am very good at it. So I thought I might just grow a bit, and then when it's ready, I've got a bit of something to smoke. Obviously, I've thought about going out and getting some, but I didn't do it. Kept going with the sobriety, and I was seeing good results in my life through not drinking or smoking weed. Now, during that period of time, I did 3 psilocybin experiences. Now, if you're not familiar with psilocybin, it's the active compound in magic mushrooms. It's similar to DMT, which is also found in ayahuasca, and it's used in a lot of cases, or it can be used as a sort of a teaching compound, a healing compound, and magic mushrooms are now being used clinically to treat depression. And I'm a big believer in the use of psilocybin for these sort of purposes, for mental health. And when I do a mushroom experience, it's not like it's, a lot of people will look at it as taking drugs, taking recreational drugs. I don't look at it at all like that. I see it as an experience that teaches me. I learn something out of the experience, and I learn something about myself every time that I do it. Now, as I say, I did 3 psilocybin trips within the period of the 3 months after I gave up alcohol in February. The first 2 were pretty uneventful, really. I took quite a low dose compared to what I usually do. And although I did have a psychedelic experience, I didn't really, what you would say, break through. I didn't really have any sort of, real aha moments, or, I didn't come out of any of those first 2 thinking, wow, I've really learned this about myself, or, I need to do this, which has happened to me in the past when I've had these experiences before. But on the 3rd time, it was very different. So the 3rd psilocybin experience, I did a much higher dosage. I did a high dosage, and I'd kept the same amount again to the side in case, I felt that I could go further, which I did. So about 2 hours into the experience, I took the other half. So I ended up actually taking probably about 30 grams of mushroom tea, which is, it's quite a high dose, that. And I really did have a powerful breakthrough experience. And during that experience, one of the things that was shown to me, because that's the only way I can explain it really, was one of the themes that kept reoccurring all the way through the trip was I was being told weed's got something that it needs to teach you, was the message that I was getting all through this trip. So I came out of the trip and I didn't get any weed, and it may be about 2 weeks I got just randomly the opportunity to get an assessment for medical marijuana, which I did, and I got accepted and I got prescribed some medical marijuana, and I got it and I started smoking it, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. It relaxed me, you know, everything that I'd been thinking about smoking weed and taking weed again, it was everything that I wanted it to be. I felt great, and I smoked a lot of it for the first 2 weeks. I was literally working. Soon as I got home, I'd be, you know, I'd light a bong up and I'd just keep smoking them until I went to sleep. Now, I did keep training at the gym during this time. With alcohol and weed, I've always been very high functioning, so I can tend to do the things that I need to do and also smoke weed and drink at the same time. So that's what I was doing, but I was smoking a lot, you know. I was getting through a lot of weed, and I was just zonking myself out. As soon as I got home, I would just smoke weed and I'd just be zonked, just scrolling through social media, scrolling through YouTube for the whole night, not doing anything productive with my time. And after about 2 weeks, I started noticing some real shifts in my behaviours, really. So I noticed I was getting very irritable with my family, the people I was working with, and I had no patience. I was losing my patience really quickly. Another thing that I noticed was I lost my appetite. My appetite was terrible. I was feeling sick all the time. And this just seemed to escalate over the second 2 weeks. So I only really smoked for 2 weeks and I felt great. And then for the second 2 weeks, things just really started to deteriorate and I just didn't feel well at all. And I didn't feel like I was myself. I wasn't getting anything done. I was being irritable, angry, and, you know, just life wasn't going the way that I wanted it to go. And what I think now was the psilocybin experience was telling me you need to get closure on this weed thing because you're thinking about it so much. You're idolizing it, you know. You're thinking, oh, life would be so great if I just could smoke weed again. And I think the psilocybin was teaching me you need to go through that experience and show yourself it's not what it's cracked up to be. Yeah, it feels good in the moment, but it's got so much. For me anyway, I'm not saying weed's a bad thing for everyone, but for me, it's got so many bad connotations to it. It's got so many bad effects for me and my own life personally that I think it needed to be proved to myself that I needed to get away from it for good. So I smoked it for about 6 weeks, and before I finally decided this has got to go. I feel terrible. It's ruining my relationships with my family and friends. I need to stop this right away. So roughly about 110 days ago from today, I just stopped cold turkey. And that was a result of, I think, the psilocybin trip, which told me to take weed because I think it needed to teach me that by doing that, I could illustrate to myself the real downsides of it and then get closure. And now I don't feel like I want to smoke weed. I'll do another video in the near future and I'll talk about how I actually stopped, how I felt, the withdrawals, how I feel now after nearly 4 months. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you found this interesting. Take care.